I've made an attempt to repair a leaking and delaminated rear hatch on my Porsche 944. I'm going to show you what the situation was when I got the car and what I'm trying to do to fix the hatch leak without completely removing the glass or trying to buy a new hatch. So if you check this out, I completely cleaned the channel out. The previous owner had tried to repair this leaking hatch by just pumping a bunch of super glue into the gap and then putting a piece of duct tape across the outside of the hatch to prevent water from getting in the gap. The tape worked, it did keep water from coming in, but it's ugly as hell, and the super glue along the channel wasn't allowing it to seal properly against the rubber seal. So I spent most of the day yesterday cleaning out all of the crud with a paint scraper and a regular razor blade, and I finished the delamination process. I went ahead and broke the glass loose from the metal frame, and I had done a lot of research and reading about different products that people have used, and a lot of it was 3M window weld and things of that nature people have had partial success with. But I came across another product by Liquid Nails that's fairly pliable and it bonds to glass and other surfaces. So I gave that a try, and a lot of people had said they've installed windshields and similar hatches and things with good success. It's got a really high bond strength to it. So what I did after I cleaned everything out, I sprayed with multi-purpose paint prep foaming cleaner and got everything removed out of the channel all the way from this corner all the way across as far as I could get in to about right there. So after I did that, I clamped a 1" by 4" board. I had this laying around from a previous project, and I lined it up just off the body, just in front of the trim piece, maybe hard to see there, and using these hand clamps where you could just squeeze it to get the decent amount of tension. You can see it curved with the glass and is putting fairly decent amount of pressure to bond the glass back down to the metal frame. And I loaded the crap out of that channel. There was a good 1/4" gap from where the glass was up off the metal frame, and what I did was I put a piece of black electrical tape across the outer seam before I put the board and before I put the liquid nails in, because I didn't want to accidentally glue the board to the hatch itself. But right now I'm getting ready to take this thing off, and then we'll peel the tape back and we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully it's going to hold. As soon as I take the clamps off and pull down on the hatch, I'll know if it's going to be strong enough or not. And hopefully it'll stop any future water leaks. And if it doesn't, then I guess I'll take the whole hatch off and completely separate it from the metal frame and completely redo the whole thing. But let's check it out, see what happens. Okay, you can see here the gray material from where, after I sandwiched it down, it beat it out. Here's a picture of that. And then I took a wet paper towel and smoothed it across the inside metal frame, because when I had scraped off all the built-up super glue, I did scratch the metal frame and I wanted to get a nice mating surface back. And here is the black tape that I put just to keep anything from squeezing out, and I didn't want to glue it. But what I'll do is go on the inside. So I need to finish removing the tint off of this back glass. Someone had attempted to do that before and then stopped. Luckily they didn't use a razor blade, so the defroster is still intact and it does function as it's supposed to. Alright, so first attempt. See if I can get you a focus here, and I'm going to pull down on the hatch and hopefully it doesn't split. Looks like it's going to hold. I do need to put a little bit of lubrication on these struts. Alright, but what I'll do to clean this up is I'll take a razor and go up against and flush and then scrape away where nothing's exposed. But now I'm going to close the hatch and peel the tape, and we'll see what kind of gap is left there and if it sealed everything. So let me get this closed. Yeah, you can see here there was just a little tiny bit squeezed through, and like I said, I had piled a bunch of that sealant in the crack, and it looks like it's sealed all the way through. And there was a ton of super glue. There's a little bit thicker here because the biggest delamination, of course, is in the middle. I wish that stuff came in black, but hey, I can live with seeing a little bit of gray. There's a little dimple here. That is to the edge of the channel, and there is just the tiniest little gap there. But the glass actually does sit below the frame now. Yeah, you can see this trim's a little faded. I'll get all that cleaned up and then we'll take another peek at it. Okay, as you can see, it's pretty good. Now I didn't worry about from here over, because when I peel this tint off, it's going to give me a straight line. And I'll tell you now, from scraping on the underside, I took my razor around and peeled off the majority of the buildup. And I can tell you now, there are no doubts about how strong this stuff bonds to glass. My razor barely wanted to even scrape it off on the underside. And I think once I get it all cleaned up, man, I really wished it came out. I wish this product came in black. Maybe it does. It just wasn't available where I bought it. But yeah, man, that's pretty good. That seals all the way down into the corner. When I pressed it in with the clamp and the board, man, you can see where it went, where it was delaminating. It pressed that stuff all the way down. I don't know if you can see it that well here, but you can see what's left of the old material where I couldn't get in there and scrape because it hadn't really delaminated. But it filled in really nicely all the way across. But there's only one thing left to do, and that's the leak test. I'm going to pull this thing outside and run the hose over it and just soak the crap out of it and see if any water comes through. Fingers crossed. Alright, well, that was about 5 minutes. And the only wetness I've got is from when I opened the hatch. It's dripping off from the outside. But otherwise... oh, I hope this focus is good. Especially out here in the bright sunlight. But there is not one single drop of water anywhere on the inside. None whatsoever. Perfectly dry. Like I say, the only water is where it dripped off from the outside of the hatch, and that's it. But once I finish getting the tint removed, I'll go back through with a razor again and clean the glass up really nice, because I'm gonna have to get that adhesive off anyway. And I'll do a video showing you how to get that stuff off easily if you have some tint that you need to remove. So that's not too bad. Looks like the Liquid Nails Fuze It is going to work for repairing the rear hatch. It's nice and strong. One thing I would recommend is maybe putting painter's tape along the inside edge where you're planning on caulking. That'll save you a little bit of scraping off the rear glass for when you press it down. If there's any questions or comments, leave them below. And if for whatever reason this thing pulls apart, fails to seal, leaks again, whatever, I will update it in the description and pin a comment. Thanks for watching.